positive tests while you've been out there?
Everybody's healthy. Everybody's healthy besides Lily. But everything's going well.
Joe and then Greg.
Dawn, how disappointed are you, or what are your thoughts, I should say, in the response from the NCAA into what everyone saw on social media yesterday, just the lack of equal facilities and treatment from the NCAA men's tournament compared to the women's tournament?
Here's the sad part. The sad part is I have to answer questions about this when it's the most exciting time of the year. You know, we've gotten through a pandemic, and yet we're still in a place where we have to talk about equality. You know, the answers to the questions that were asked, or the posts that were on social media puts the leaders of women's basketball in a bad place. Here's the overarching issue. It isn't women's basketball. It is the decision makers. The decision makers know exactly what's going on, and they put the women's basketball leaders in a position of having the you know, in the firing squad, answering questions about things that she probably can't share. But, you know, big picture, this isn't her fault at all. I don't blame Lynn. I think she is heroic for facing the music and having to do what she needs to do, probably to protect some other people. Women all over the country, in corporate America, in sports, are put in the position that she's in. There's no way, you know, there's no way that we should be in this position as women to have to defend the championship that we so excitedly want to be a part of.
Greg and then Mike.
Just looking at the games, for Mercer, what do you see from them? I mean, obviously, you know, it's a 16 seed, but what do they bring to the table?
Great team, great coach. Susie Gardner is a great coach, and I'm actually reached out to her as I was watching them in preparation. They're a very good basketball team. Offensively, they do. You know, they score the basketball. They got 4 people that can actually put the ball in the hole. They put themselves in great positions where they can be efficient and effective. We got our hands full. I don't really, at this time of the year, you have to forget about seeds. You have to forget about, you know, anything besides the 40 minutes or whatever, however many minutes it takes to win a basketball game. So we're approaching it like we've approached every single game this year, and it is play your best basketball this time and do what you need to do to win.
Mike and then Dick.
Dawn, I'm from here in San Antonio, and our local NBA team has a coach who's sort of known for not sticking to basketball. I'm wondering, as someone clearly committed to using your voice and your platform, does it mean anything to have peers in the profession, whether it's Pop or Steve Kerr or Doc Rivers, kind of show that it's okay not to shut up and coach?
I mean, what you see are coaches who are woke, so to speak. You know, they're comfortable in their skin. They've been successful, and they got a big platform, and they're unafraid to use it, unapologetic to use it. So, I mean, for me, it gives me great comfort in knowing that there are people out there that's on the side of right, not politically right, not, you know, trying to win a press conference right. It is right for it being right. So
I appreciate that.
Dick and then Mitch.
Dawn, I know it's very limited what you're getting to do as far as a team being together, but when maybe you have a team meeting or practice, have you been able to do anything fun to keep your team loose? And my second question is, have you had any complaints from the team maybe staying on the floor underneath you about the women's basketball team from South Carolina dribbling too much in the rings?
I mean, it's, our players are focused. They're focused on playing in this tournament. And sometimes, that kind of, it's kind of weird because they're just taking what's given to them. I like that a little bit because they're low maintenance. They want to win, but also, when, and I'm going to bring this back up, when they see what their counterparts on the other side, when they see what they're getting and what their experiences, one of them have reached out to me, but I'm sure they're having a conversation about it. But they're not going to distract from what we're trying to do. But they're aware of it, which I totally like. The most fun this team has is probably when we all get the chance to meet in the meeting room all together. When we eat some type of meal there, they put the music on, they're laughing, they're joking. So that's cool. But one thing that did just happen between us practicing and finishing up practices, we'll be able to go out and take a walk. So we're going to do that in about an hour, just walk around, get some fresh air, and not just be reduced to just walking over to get testing and coming back. But we actually get a chance to take in San Antonio and some fresh air and feel that vitamin D on our skin. So that's been pretty cool. No complaints. No complaints about dribbling basketballs.
Mitch and then Rick.
Coach, obviously, Zaya said, she echoed some of those same sentiments that you had. But she also said the trainers have been doing a good job with helping adapt. Obviously, a different type of tournament all around, but obviously with the weight room discrepancy too, it adds some added restraints, I guess. So how have you seen the trainers adapt to keeping your players, ready for this type of game-like atmosphere?
I mean, you have to be innovative when you're in this type of environment. You got to be able to pivot. And we were prepared, whether we had a weight room or not. We were prepared to do things in our room virtually to make sure our players stay in some type of shape, because it's hard. I mean, the last two practices, our players were actually sucking wind. And I just told them, you got to fight through it, because we've been off. We haven't had our normal routine, game day routine. We've been off for, almost 2 weeks. So we got to get back to game shape. So we did get up and down for a little bit. We had them push through. And, they're totally excited about the next 48 hours when they're able to play.
Rick and then
Don.
Lucas.
Hey, Don, you've got a couple of major factors that are totally out of your control. The fact that you have to wait 2 weeks before you play that tournament game, and also with the COVID-19 protocols, the isolation, having to quarantine, and you have so many of your ladies who, this is their first NCAA tournament experience. And so that has to help heighten, I guess, the level of nervousness and anticipation. What can you do as a coach maybe to mitigate that a little bit so they can settle down as quickly as possible come game time?
I mean, for us, we're just staying on them. I mean, we're not treating it like anything else besides it's a game that we have to prepare for. Like we are, we're yelling, we're screaming, we're saying, no, you got to pay attention to, this, that. We're being disciplined with them. It is do or die, so everything's heightened. We're heightened as coaches. The intensity level was high, and we have to stay there, and we have to keep our players there in that moment. So, so it won't be a fleeting moment. We want them locked in and engaged in what we have to do. Considering everything that we've been through, we want to make it count on the court.
Lucas and then Pete.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for doing this. Zaya was just talking about Letitia and how she might be adapting maybe a different role in this tournament. I'm curious what you expect of Letitia in this tournament and how she's grown over this past season as a player.
I mean, she's got to step up big time. I mean, we're going to put her in a position to do a lot of things for us on both sides of the basketball. And, it's a breath of fresh air. I mean, it truly is. I've never seen her practice as well for as long of a stretch of this past 2 weeks, a week and a half. And she's playing more free. And I think LA is in a position of, we need her. I think she's gonna come through. Like, when a player knows you need her, and I mean, and we know, I mean, she's known we need her, but probably the playing time wasn't as consistent as it needed to be for her. But the playing time is plentiful, starting on Sunday, and we'll play her and put her in a position where she can do all the things that we saw her do during the recruiting period. And it's unfortunate that it took an injury for us to get here, but I'm mad at myself for not even putting her in a position that we're putting her in this week, because it's a little bit different, it's a little bit better, it's a little bit freer for her.
Pete and then Chantel.
Hey, Dawn. When you talked with us last time, you mentioned that you kind of liked how things were looking, even in Lele's absence, with how the people were being called on were progressing. I'm wondering if that's still the case, and if you're even happier with what you've seen with Lele out.
I'm extremely happy. I mean, this team has, come together nicely and rallied around Lele in her absence. They're all playing free, and I say LA because the question was specifically for LA, but Destiny Littleton is looking great. Anaya Russell's, in a position where she's actually looking like, she knows what she's doing, and we probably have to keep her minutes and possessions down so she can stay at that level. But we got legitimate, the three people that has played, somewhat a lot of minutes for us throughout the season are in a really good space along with our starters. I do think we have a better understanding what needs to happen on both sides of the basketball. So I feel like we're going to play our best basketball. And if we don't, we're going to try to figure out a way to win a basketball game.
Chantel and then Michelle.
Dawn, Corey Close was talking earlier. She said when she looks back at her career as a former college player and now a coach, that she sort of views the progress of women's basketball in the NCAA as a healthy tension between feeling grateful for sort of what has come over the last 20 years or so, but also fighting for change moving forward. I was curious how you look at it, if you see it as a healthy tension, or how you kind of balance knowing that, women's basketball has come far, but that there is such a discrepancy still between the games.
Yeah, I mean, that is a incredible balance, especially when we were participating in the NCAA tournament. It wasn't social media. You didn't know what you didn't know. Now that we have social media, what you shouldn't know. That the things that were kept behind the scenes, and players are talking more, players are seeing more, players are more woke about what women aren't getting. And then you add you add insult to injury, and you have guys out there just saying some disgusting things about we're not making money, we're the JV in the school. That ain't cool. That ain't cool, because that's what happens in boardrooms, where there's a miscommunication with at the highest level of the NCAA. Either it's miscommunication, no communication, or just not downright caring if people know what's happening on our side of things. And that must stop. That must stop, because we're under the umbrella of March Madness. If the NCAA owns March Madness and all of is luxury, then it should feel luxurious to every student athlete, man or woman. So, no, we shouldn't be happy with just getting the bare minimum. No, we should not be happy with being, second class citizens when it comes to our student athletes. Are we grateful that we got a tournament off? Yes. But, if the men got a tournament off and they're rolling out the red carpet for them, then that's our expectation. That should be the only expectation, that we put on the very best national championship tournament.
Michelle and then Matt.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to follow up on that a little bit. When you were at Virginia going to the Final Four in 90, 91, and 92, did you get anything? Like now they see these swag bags, and they're calling them, the men obviously got quite a bit more than the women. I know you said obviously you didn't know what you didn't know because of the social media then, but did you guys, what do you remember that you got then? And did you have any idea of what the men may have been getting at that time?
At that time, nope, I didn't have any idea. We did get some swag stuff, but I thought that our relationship with Nike and us being at Virginia, we got a lot of stuff from Nike. I don't remember a whole lot that we got from the NCAA.
And is that something, like you said, that it's not really, it is the message is that they're sending is, I think, the problem. It's not just, the swag, if you will. It's what's behind that.
Yeah, it's the double standard. It is like if we didn't know that, if all that stuff wasn't laid out on that bed for one of the men's players, and then if somebody didn't post what was in the players' swag bags, we would know nothing about that. If they didn't promote the weight room that's in Indianapolis, we would have known nothing about that. But here's what it makes you do. It makes you go back to the very beginning when the NCAA rolled out that the men were having their tournament in Indianapolis. And then we roll out a month later. There is a disconnect with that. If you're going to have a championship for both men's and women's, wouldn't it be best to roll it out at the same time? I think it's only right. So I don't know why they didn't work in concert for that to happen. So, you got to ask the powers that be that made that decision to do that, because it makes you think about every single thing now. And now, instead of, I got maybe 2 or 3 questions for Mercer, who's our opponent, instead of this whole press conference is about stuff. And I'm willing to answer it because, we have to stand up for what our championship stands for. Do we make a whole lot of money at this? No, but the men make a whole lot more for everybody, but we should feel it. We should be a part of it. And it's not just contained in our championship. It's on our campuses. So this is nothing new. But somebody has to be the one that creates this equality for women. And it's going to take a strong individual, but it's also going to stretch your dollars out as well. So somebody's got the juice to do it. It is if they have the other things to do it.
Thank you.
Matt, and then we'll close it out with David. Good save, Coach.
Coach, I know you spoke of Lily in her absence. Just how is she, first of all, and what advice is she able to give the younger players about this process of the NCAA tournament, even though she can't play?
Lily's always one that's in great spirits. She's rolling around here. She's rolling around practice, and she's telling them. She is giving them the information that they need to compete at this level. She's in practice, she's active, she's telling them the things that need to happen out there on the floor. So she's an active participant and in helping some of our young players who are, you know, in a place where sometimes they don't know everything that they need to know, and they just need some guidance, and Lili's been that for them.
And the last question to David.
Hey, Dawn, kind of off topic here, but have you heard about Brittany Young, your former GA who got the Austin P job? What do you remember about her, and how proud are you of her that she?
Yes, obviously I was a part of that process. The AD did reach out to me because he's a South Carolina guy. Brittany's been in this business for a long time. She took the long, hard road to that position. I mean, being a grad assistant for us, then going on and being an assistant coach, I believe, at Stetson, and then linking up with Nikki McCray at ODU, and then going to Mississippi State with Nikki. So she's got a lot of experience. She's been around some great basketball, some great coaches, have gotten some great experiences, and you know, she was at the right place at the right time, but also prior to being at the right place at the right time, she did all the things that she needed to do to put herself in that position. So super proud. They got a great one that, you know, is going to put a great staff together and make some noise. And she's linking up with another South Carolina guy, Figs, right? Figs is at Austin P. So I think that's pretty cool that we got some South Carolina roots there.